One very important lesson I have learned in my long experience in this opportunity that you Kenyans gave me of analyzing Kenyan politics is that it is very important, indeed it is critical, to very frequently step back and take a bird's eye view of what is happening in all the politics you're analyzing. And regulars on this channel will know that I do that, some of you believe, way too frequently. But it pays! It pays big time. Like right now. Because what has come out clearly in my latest stepping back. Wah! And I'm going to share it with you in a minute. Now I can hear somebody saying to themselves, Chris has just said we gave him the opportunity. What does he mean? Has he become a politician? I thought Chris gave himself the opportunity. Now those of you who have been with me for a long time, over a decade, please be patient. I know you already know the answer to that question. This quick one is for the sake of the newbies. Kumekucha has been a labor of love from day one. And then some Kenyans joined me. And it has been kept on going all these years. Even now, by these Kenyans who regularly support me and the work I do. So that I can proudly say, Kumekucha is not sponsored by any NGO. It is not sponsored by any politician or political party. It is sponsored. It is kept going by ordinary patriotic Kenyans who love their country. I will forever thank them for this opportunity they gave me. That's what I meant. Now let me not keep you in suspense. It is very clear, as clear as day, that the country called Kenya, all of us, have entered a very deadly and dangerous phase. Very dangerous. And I would urge all of us to take precautions, be alert, and brace ourselves. Please allow me to thoroughly analyze that and break it down for you. What is happening currently? Okay, let us start with the political analysts. Right here on YouTube and elsewhere, who churn out content daily. They have a very big problem right now as we speak. And I need to emphasize, I am not special. But I don't have that problem. Simply because my supporters do not support me, do not finance me, to go all out for views and big headlines that will attract attention. They finance me to tell it as it is. And the big problem most have is that there's no news. The drama to generate tons of views is not there. Fertilizer manenos? Boring. Who is interested in fertilizer? And by the way, I have some good news for you. This fertilizer thing, shortly, is going to be a very big thing. But let us stay on topic. And the reason why things are the way they are, that is where the big headline news is. Very big. And let me explain in a very simple way so that we all get it. I'm sure you've heard the expression, the calm before the storm. Actually, it's very quiet and very calm before a very serious storm. But let us break it down even further. You're a woman or man of gossip. And the people you gossip about, there is always drama around them. And then suddenly one day, everything goes quiet. What do you think is going on that has suddenly caused this quietness? There is nothing happening. There is no drama. It is so quiet. What do you think has caused that? If it was your neighbor you're gossiping about, he always comes back very late at night, drunk and making noise. And the wife always stands up regularly with a Ben 10. And all this keeps you thoroughly entertained with the gossip. And then suddenly, nothing. In all instances, there'll only be one explanation. A serious crisis. A crisis that is so serious that your neighbors are not going through their lives as usual. The usual routine has been broken. And the only thing which breaks that is a serious crisis. I'm sure most of you are with me now. The phase we have now entered in the country called Kenya is called the serious crisis phase. And there is plenty of evidence to support this thesis. Plenty. Too much. I'm sure you have seen most of it yourself. Somebody in government recently admitted that there's a very serious financial problem. There is a very serious cash problem in this government. Now I'm aware that many Kenyans don't want to believe that, for the simple reason that people are still living big, very big, expensive, wearing expensive stuff, buying expensive stuff, etc., etc. How can the government be broke? Now just hold on a minute, okay? Please differentiate between personal money and government money. Now I know that may still be confusing, and so I need to remind you, after you've robbed the government blind, that money is in your account. That money is with you, under the mattress or wherever, in an account in Dubai or wherever. And so you can still continue living big, buying expensive things. But the government you robbed still has obligations, still has bills to pay, loans to pay, etc., etc. Are we on the same page now? I hope so. But let me give you the clearest sign, which may not be obvious, that there is a very, very big crisis. Okay? And let us start with the very latest boring drama. Now for some time now, the government has insisted this fake fertilizer manenos is a creation of the opposition and enemies of this government. I even know people have been threatened. You people are talking about fake fertilizers, we will take action. That has been the position. Now a few hours ago, the government confessed. Oh yes, they finally confessed that there's a problem. Yeah, that indeed it is true and not as mere propaganda that there is fake fertilizer. Okay, I can still see many of us don't see that as a big deal. Hold on to that thought. And let us quickly go back. Yeah, and what we're looking for here is consistency. Some thick consistency. Right at the beginning, Ruto told us that the government is not interested in bringing down unga prices. Yeah, unga prices will be controlled by production. He will focus on making farmers produce more. And so when farmers produce a lot of maize, unga prices will automatically come down. Remember that? And the government really insisted. But then what happened a few weeks later? The same government took very deliberate steps to bring down unga prices. The first move they made failed miserably. I'm sure you remember. A few people close to the government were allowed to import grain into the country duty-free. And it was a disaster. The main millers in the country rejected the substandard maize. I'm sure you remember that. But they did not give up. And finally, unga prices started coming down. Government intervention. They told us at the beginning there would be no government intervention. On to another example. This UDA government told us that Uhuru had been pumping dollars into the market to make the Kenyan shilling artificially strong. This government told us they would not interfere. The Kenyan shilling would settle at its own true value. You remember that? And the Kenyan shilling kept on weakening, even against the Uganda shilling and the Tanzanian shilling. And people complained, and Ruto was stubborn. He said they would not interfere. We have told Kenyans we will never do it. What happened recently? They changed their minds again. And the government not only did what they accused Uhuru of doing, actually they overdid it. They did too much of it. And the Kenyan shilling overnight magically strengthened against the dollar. I'm very much aware of the fact that we are not all economists. Yeah. However, we all know the very serious dangers of overdoing anything. Okay? And we are about to discover this in the forex market in Kenya. Okay? Concerning the Kenya shilling and the way it exchanges to hard currencies like the dollar. We are very close to finding out, if we doubt and if we don't know, the dangers of overdoing something artificially. Okay? Anyway, and I can give you many other examples of where this government has started going in the direction of A very strongly, and then suddenly they start going in the opposite direction. The direction they told us they would never, ever go in. Okay? Now, let's get out of politics and talk about life. In life, this kind of people who blow hot in the morning and then in the afternoon they blow cold. They go in this direction in the morning or today, and then tomorrow they're going in the opposite direction. What do we call them? And usually what happens when people behave like this? Answer the question for yourself. Please, just answer it for yourself. What normally happens in these situations in real life? Well, for avoidance of doubt, within no time, what results is something called a big crisis. A big crisis in a relationship, a big crisis in a home, a big crisis in a company. Now I hope I have fully convinced you that we're not in a good place. We're in a very dangerous, deadly, a very bad place. And it is called the crisis phase. That is where the country called Kenya is right now. Please prepare yourself. Please brace yourself. And what I've talked about so far, has nothing to do with what is very obvious we can see with our own eyes. Because as we speak currently, there is an ongoing doctors' strike. Kenyans cannot get treatment in a public facility. And now these doctors are telling us it is moving to private hospitals. I'm sure you've seen that. We're not even talking about those very obvious signs of a crisis. Don't even talk about the school system. What a mess. We have not touched those things and will not touch them. Okay? But I've just mentioned them for those who doubt that the country called Kenya has entered crisis mode. Okay? And while we are there, let us also mention the possible consequences of farmers who planted with fake fertilizer or without fertilizer because the fertilizer was fake. Okay? Definitely that is going to affect the harvest. And time waits for no man. That planting season is ending very quickly. We cannot stop time. We cannot even go back to the beginning of the planting season. Imeenda kabisa. Crisis, my friends. Very serious crisis. Unprecedented crisis. Now the truth is, even with all these problems, things may not have been so bad had we not had something called politics, and something even more dangerous than that called politicians. Let me explain. When the political situation gets shaky, when there is a crisis in a country, what do politicians do? All politicians. They usually position themselves to benefit from that crisis, to benefit from the aftermath, which is normal. It happens anywhere in the world. Azimio and Raila Odinga are preparing themselves to benefit, which is normal in competitive politics. And the tons of supporters of Azimio and Raila Odinga are very happy. They're anticipating change in the country called Kenya, which is good. However, let us step back and put our emotions aside for a minute, and even put the side you're supporting aside for a minute, and consider the following. When there are chaos and people are trying to take advantage of those chaos and even the aftermath of that chaos, is that a safe time in a country? Is that a safe time in a situation? Of course not. It is a very dangerous time. Why? Because anything, and I mean anything, can happen, and mostly bad things. That is just the reality of this life. Let me give you a very good example that we all saw with our own eyes. During the Maandamano. The Maandamanos were a good thing. Maandamanos are our right under the Constitution. But when they happened, there were chaos. Why? Because the government interfered. Ruto people and Ruto sycophants did their best to turn those Maandamanos into chaos, and they partially succeeded. You will remember that the expressway was damaged. You will remember that video of cops robbing. You will remember that video of policemen in uniform stealing gas cylinders, looting in broad daylight. Bottom line, that is precisely what I mean. In chaos, it is a dangerous situation. Anything can happen, mostly bad things. Now, I totally understand that it is very easy for a Kenyan seated in a very faraway land to say, let the chaos happen. We must have change. Ruto must go by whatever means possible. And therefore let the chaos start as soon as possible, like yesterday. And the people who get hurt, the people who lose their lives, that is collateral damage. We must do what we must do. I totally understand that. Although, I cannot help but wonder if they would think in the same way if they were caught up bang in the middle of all the chaos. I don't know if they'd still have the same view. I don't know if they'd have the same view if they suddenly found themselves in grave danger in the middle of this chaos. But alas, that is human nature. We tend to think of ourselves, and then the other people watajisort. That's human nature. But let us stick to the political analysis. Now, in my very latest highly sensitive special report, I expose some very, very shockingly serious information, because we have politicians in the country who have their own plans in this chaos. We're talking about people like Babu Owino. We're talking about people like Martha Karua. What is she really up to? We know that she has some tension with some people in Azimio. What is Kalonzo really up to? What does he want to happen at the end of this ongoing chaos? Yeah, of course, in his favor. Musalia Mudavadi is also a politician. He has survived many regimes. He too has a plan. What is it? And then, of course, the big boys, Raila Odinga and Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. They have had a plan all along. In fact, I put it to you, they were able to foresee the current situation last year, many months ago, and therefore you can be sure that they have prepared. But what is this that they have prepared? What are their moves right now? What are their next moves in this chaos? Or rather in this chaotic phase we have just entered as a country? And of course, this is not stuff that they're going to discuss at a press conference. This is not stuff that they're going to reveal to the public. No. These are backroom chess moves that politicians make in the backrooms of Kenyan politics. My special report is titled, "The 6 Men and 1 Woman Who Will Decide Kenya's Future." Oh yes, it's that serious. Now trust me, the things we discuss in this special report, I can never discuss on this open public channel. Never ever. They're just too sensitive. And as a further precaution, because of the sensitivity of this material, this special report is limited only to 10 people. First come, first served. You can see the details on your screens right now. For only $31 or Kenya shillings 3,999, you'll be able to have this highly confidential information in your inbox. And it is in the form of a video, which will be available and accessible only to those 10. Please move fast to avoid disappointment. Now there's something else in this topic we've discussed today that I need you to consider. And I know it will surprise most of you. But did you know that it is highly likely that there's somebody who is very happy with this mess, and indeed somebody who's going to benefit from the chaos? And in fact, somebody, if you ask me, who made a major contribution to bringing Kenya to this chaotic situation. Deliberately. Because when Kenya has chaos, they will greatly benefit. And it is not a person, it is a group of people. I discussed that at length in my special report. But then I'm sure you can also guess. But now the really scary thing is the end game of these people who made a major contribution to this chaos and want to benefit from those chaos. Because for them to really benefit, there is something that has to happen. And that thing is not good for Kenyans. I am sure some of us can join the dots. Very good for you, because then you will be able to predict what is most likely going to happen in the dear motherland towards the tail end of this phase of chaos we have entered as a country. But if you can't fully figure it out yet, and you're in a position, then I recommend that you go for the 6 men and a woman who will decide the future of Kenya, where it is all spelled out, and you will totally understand. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.